Welcome everyone to another episode of In Depth with Academia. I'm Richard Price, your host and the CEO of academia.edu. Delighted to dig into another fascinating piece of research with you today. Remember, as always, I'm here to neutrally present the work, not to endorse it. My goal is to pull out the insights, break them down, and see what they might mean for you, the listener. So, today we're jumping into a paper authored by Patricia, Marta, Ester, Ferrada, Toledo, a researcher with deep roots in education and human development, who looked at something that touches all of us, who've spent time in a classroom, whether as students, teachers, or just people who remember what it's like to try and learn something new. The title is a bit long, but the focus is crisp. What do students in social work at the Technological University of Chile, specifically the Valdivia campus, actually think about the generic skills or competencies their teachers bring to the table? Not just the subject expertise, but those broad, essential attitudes and capacities that shape the whole learning experience. So why does this matter? Well, have you ever had a teacher who just made the energy in the classroom click? Or, on the flip side, someone whose approach made everything 10 times harder to understand? This paper is all about uncovering which teacher qualities or competencies students say really help or hurt their learning. It's not just about memorizing facts, it's about, well, what it means to be an effective educator in the eyes of students themselves. The big core question is, what are the specific attitudes or competencies that social work students think really make a difference in their classroom learning, and what gaps, if any, exist between the competencies the university officially says are important and the ones students actually notice and value? Such a useful line of inquiry, right? Now, method-wise, Patricia Ferrada Toledo went qualitative. She didn't crunch big numbers, but instead dug deep into student feedback. She looked at comments students left in teacher evaluations, 451 comments from 125 students, and built detailed categories to map out what students valued or didn't value in their professors' attitudes and behaviours. What did she find? Well, there's a very clear pattern. Students place huge importance, like sincerely huge importance, on personal, ethical and pedagogical qualities. Let's zoom in terms of personal competencies, students most often mention things like emotional closeness. We're talking teachers who care, who build real connections, show empathy and patience, offer personal support, and basically let students feel they matter in the classroom. That might sound kind of fuzzy, but students were adamant. When teachers show warmth and understanding, it makes all the difference. Right next to that, there's a high value placed on what the paper calls knowing how to act. Things like ethical behavior, being consistently committed, having the creativity to innovate in teaching methods, and just showing genuine dedication. In fact, students were very attuned to teachers' sense of vocation, that sense of calling, of being invested in helping students succeed, and let's not forget communication, the ability for a teacher to explain things clearly, communicate ideas in ways that are easy to grasp. That was repeatedly highlighted. Students want teachers who are clear, organized, and who make learning accessible, not mystifying. I mean, how many times have you sat in a class thinking, this person is brilliant, but I have absolutely no idea what they're saying? Yeah, that came up. Maybe this reminds you of your own experiences, or perhaps you're a teacher yourself, wondering what students are really noticing. Either way, these insights connect directly to real classroom life. But it wasn't all roses. Students also highlighted behaviours that can block learning. Among the negatives were indifference, that sort of distant, disengaged attitude, plus intolerance, lack of respect, and honestly, things like irresponsibility or lack of punctuality. It's not just about being smart, it's about being present, accountable, and engaged. Now here's where it gets interesting. The study found there are some gaps between what the university defines as key competencies and what the students actually value most. The institution officially lists a lot of academic and disciplinary know-how, but sometimes misses the mark on the personal side, like responsibility, embracing diversity, and consistent ethical behavior. I should pause for a second. Quick story, unrelated, but have you ever noticed how our best teachers often end up teaching us things totally outside their subject? Like maybe how to deal with frustration, or how to collaborate. It just pops into my head because, honestly, some of my most lasting memories from school are about how a teacher made me feel, rather than what textbook content they covered. Anyway, maybe that's another episode for another day. But coming back, the point is, according to this paper, education isn't just about technical mastery. It's about who the teacher is, how they connect their ethical grounding and their skill at fostering a supportive environment. For you, if you're studying, teaching, or supervising, maybe take a moment to reflect. Which competencies do you value most, and are you finding them where you are? Just a reminder, again, I'm not endorsing Ferrada Toledo's findings, but trying to neutrally unpack the insights. Academic research isn't gospel, but it's a great springboard for exploring new ideas. So, as we wrap today, if you're thinking about what makes you learn best, or what you wish you'd seen more of in your own educators, I hope these findings give you something to chew on. Next time you're in a classroom, on either side, maybe remember, it's not just what's taught, but the way it's shared, the attitude, and the personhood of the teacher that leaves a mark. Thanks so much for listening to In Depth with Academia. Stay curious, keep asking questions, and see you on the next episode.